Well said, says Ms Butler, the member for Lyons, when Dr Broad has got up there and smeared scientists who are doing research in the public interest. And I'll just point to the words of a scientist who has far more credibility, heart, rigour and respect in the community than you, Dr Broad, and that is distinguished UTAS Professor Dr Jamie Kirkpatrick, who said in June this year, the clear and overwhelming evidence is that logging makes forests more flammable. These are the findings of 4 peer-reviewed, published scientific studies from 4 institutions in 6 years and of multiple scientific review. Dr Broad, right now I couldn't be bothered with you, but I'll tell you what you will keep, and I'll be in here tomorrow night to respond to your smear of scientists working in the public interest, your denial of an obvious scientific truth that if you log the bejesus out of something, you dry it out and make it more prone to fire. But anyway, Dr Broad, you'll have to live with yourself when you're old. I'll sleep quite comfortably. Madam Speaker, today is International Day for Democracy, and in a time of pandemic, Madam Speaker, it is even more critical that we nurture and protect the foundations of our democracy. And I point to the United Nations International Day of Democracy publication, which warns about fighting misinformation, disinformation and hate speech, which have mushroomed in the crisis. And it's true, Madam Speaker, that mistruth and misinformation is what fosters public anxiety and distrust of government. When you're in the midst of a crisis, Madam Speaker, faith in government is critical. Madam Speaker, well, what we have in this place is a serial misleader, Madam Speaker, in Minister Guy Barnett. And I go now to an issue which, maybe out there in the community, people aren't talking about this at great volume, but as elected representatives, we have a responsibility to be truth tellers, and if we're going to make statements as ministers of the Crown, where the Governor anoints us as a Minister of the Crown and says we are trusty and well beloved, that's the words on the ministerial seal, Madam Speaker, then you want to come in here and tell the truth. Minister Barnett is a serial misleader. Now I go to the issue of the Styx Road closure, and I have sought the leave of the House. I have passed on the right to information documents we have, but I right now seek the leave of the House to table 2 right to information documents. One of them is from DPIPWI, which relates to the truth about the proposed closure of the Styx Road, and the other one is from DPIPWI, which points to the Department's advice to close the duck season on Crown lands this year, advice that was apparently ignored by the Minister, which he pretended he knew nothing about, and then he signed off on the duck season. So let's go to the timeline here. On the 14th of July, Madam Speaker, we have an email from Sustainable Timber Tasmania, so-called, but as we know their trading name is actually Forestry Tasmania, confirming planned closure of the road, subject line, Styx Road, closure of Styx Road. RTI says, from STT, a plantation thinning operation at TN 052K on Styx Road is scheduled to commence in early August, and for safety reasons we would like to close the road for a period of approximately 5 weeks. And of course, once Bob Brown Foundation, much maligned by the member for Braddon, who really has some real issues with respecting nature, once the Bob Brown Foundation heard from tourism operators that Forestry Tasmania wanted to close the road, they wrote to the Minister. So Bob Brown Foundation wrote to the Premier Gutwin raising concerns about the Styx Road closure on the 31st of July, and we have a copy of that email here, sent at 5 p.m. on the 31st of July. On the 1st of August, Madam Speaker, Bob Brown Foundation issued a media release just before 8 a.m. The next day, the media release references the letter to the Premier and the proposed road closure. 2 days later, on the 3rd of August, Minister Barnett issues a media release including environmentalists of completely baseless claims and saying there were no plans to close Styx Road. In fact, he said they were completely baseless, completely untrue. What it turns out to be, Madam Speaker, is that they were completely true. Forestry Tasmania wanted to close the Styx Road for a logging operation. So, we lodged a right to information request addressed, and we got it back from Te Pipwi. So on the 26th of August, the Right to Information disclosed the Sustainable Timber Tasmania so-called correspondence, which confirmed the Styx road closure. On the 4th of September, the Mercury ran an article about the road closure. On the 14th of September, Minister Barnett doubled down on his previous claim, Madam Speaker, and today in Parliament what we had was a Minister of the Crown trying to get around the fact that he was pinged by an RTI which showed that he had on government media release letterhead at best misled, at worst knowingly told an untruth to the people of Tasmania and the media about the proposed Styx Road closure. So in Parliament today, the Minister states that STT were planning to close the road but changed their plans in early August. No, Madam Speaker, they did not. Madam Speaker, they changed their plans very quickly after Bob Brown Foundation had written to the Premier. Sure, might have been early August, but it wasn't on the basis of any independent decision on STT's part. From STT, quoted by the Minister in Parliament today, a scheduled plantation thinning adjacent to the Styx Road Coupe, TN052K, was delayed in early August. Well, we know that Bob Brown Foundation wrote to the Premier on the 31st of July. And also today, the decision to not proceed with this plantation thinning operation was made prior to the Greens and the Bob Brown Foundation's alarming local businesses and creating a media event to advance their own selfish goals. So the point to remember here is, Madam Speaker, Minister Barnett initially said there were no plans to close the road. It was a completely baseless accusation, and we just heard the same sort of vilification and untruth from the Minister that we've heard from Dr Broad. Just then, Minister Barnett said there is no plan. It's completely baseless. Now we know there is. Now apparently the decision not to close the road was changed in early August after Bob Brown Foundation wrote to the Premier of Tasmania expressing concern. Madam Speaker, do you want me to just lay these on the table? I'm very happy to do that, Madam Speaker.
I can put the question that leave be granted to table the papers. All
That'd
those
be
of that
great.
opinion say aye. Aye. Minister Barnett? To the contrary, no.
No, you can wait. What's your point of order?
Please, I think he's allowed to speak.
What's your point of order?
Sorry. I need to take advice. Could you please...
Does he have a point of order?
I'm not certain what's going on.
Minister Barnett's very sensitive on us tabling the evidence of his perfidy. That's right.
Okay, so I'll put the question. So those in favour say aye. Those to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I understand why Minister Barnett is sensitive about us.
Sorry, your time has expired.
Sensitive about
Minister
us, but
Barnett.
he is a serial misleader.
At your time.